Everglades National Park gave us the unique opportunity to design something for a very special site in Flamingo and to replace overnight housing that existed there since the 50s and 60s as permanent construction but was destroyed in Hurricane Wilma and Hurricane Andrew. And what they asked for was a project that was less permanent than the previous construction, something that could be taken down on a seasonal basis in the off-season, which in this case is the hurricane season. And I think students made a remarkable job really taking that difficult design parameter to heart and make a structure that is beautiful and functional.
We introduce them to the clients give us the program, then we come back and we go through a series of charrettes where very short period of time the students will break them up into, let's say, 4 different groups. And they spend about an hour, they come up with design concepts, maybe sketches, some models, and then they come back and present it to everybody as a group. So we start generating ideas that way. Then we take those groups and we shuffle them. We take the people and rotate them out, so there's never the same team as a design team. And we keep on doing iteration after iteration and develop better and better ideas. And what happens at the end of that process, good ideas, people latch on to the good ideas and they keep on expanding them. Even though they're different members in each of the teams, we finally come up with a design that is a consensus design and everybody likes it.
It was interesting. It was definitely a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I'm very glad I did it. It's completely different from what we're used to as architecture students. Normally we do these crazy conceptual, theoretical designs that have no real backbone or construction basis to it. So having to think about you need to build this the whole semester was quite interesting.
The UM Design Build Studio is a little bit different in that it takes place over just a single semester. Most design builds, you have a full semester to design and a full semester of build, so it's a full year-long studio. UM is unique in that it really is a crash course. You accomplish a lot in just the period of about 4 months and take it from a design that we really have just been introduced to the project in week 1 to a finished product, a full-scale model, $15,000 worth of material. And we do that over such a short period of time. It's exciting because it forces you to learn in a very rapid pace, and that's what makes UM's program unique among other schools.
It happens a lot in architecture schools where you get an academic education in architecture, but you really do not get the feel, the hands-on feel of materials and the reality of working with materials. And materials have different textures, they have different characteristics, you cut them differently, there are a lot of aspects to it, you fasten them differently. You're not going to get that out of a book, you're only going to get that by actually doing a project and building it.
The site in Everglades National Park, they deal with flooding, they also deal with hurricanes, so the eco tent is only seasonal. Our design had to be simple enough to be assembled and dismantled every season. We also had to take into account the limited number of park staff available for this process. So we designed a very elegant pole and canvas structure that would meet all of these practical needs as well.
During the design process, we had to cut down 4x4 posts that were basically going to be our structure on the ends of the project. And I had cut one of the pieces too short, and those were the only material that we had, so we had to come up with a problem on how to correct it. So we had asked Jim, how do we correct it? And he went on a long speech on how to prevent it, and then he told us about how to shim it up and fix the gap. It was a minute gap, but it was significant because that was our structure and it had to be sound. So we had to go back and shim it and fill in the gap and basically make our structure sound.
We ordered this special material called heat-treated pine, and we had drawn out all of our specifications assuming that the material would be 1.5 inches wide. What we found out later was that it was actually 1.25 inches wide. We'd pushed forward with our design and some of our cuts early on with that assumption in mind that it would be 1.5 inches. We started cutting the material up, and it was only after the fact that somebody double-checked, took a measuring tape, and found out, hey, this material is actually a 1/4 inch shorter than we expected. We had already made a few cuts. If we hadn't checked, well, we just got lucky in that case. We could have continued to keep cutting the material and wasted thousands of dollars and all of our time. So that was a lesson that we all learned really quickly, was that really you can't make assumptions on the job site. In the real world, labor is really expensive, and if you're wasting time on building something again and material on building something again, then that's an expensive mistake. That's really something you cannot afford to make in the real world.
Rocco and Jim are excellent professors. They're both very dedicated, and you can tell how much they love doing this. As much as their sweat and time goes into these projects, if not more than ours, and I think it's extremely motivational to work with professors that have that amount of dedication and passion for a project.
Having Rocco and Jim as professors was really beneficial for me and for everybody, but I think me in particular. Because on the one hand, we have Rocco, who was very academically minded, and then we had Jim, who was very practice-minded, and he was all about the craft of the project, how to put it together. And that's what drives me in this educational experience.
The project was extremely well built and on budget for what was given to them, so that it is also a great learning experience to balance craft with the necessity of following a budget and making sure that things are built very well.
I expected to work and get hands-on experience, but I never expected to have so much fun doing it. I think it really reassured me that this is what I'm doing and I love it. I would definitely recommend this to upcoming fifth-year students because it's a great experience and you really don't need to know anything. There was a couple students who had zero knowledge or experience in tools at all, and they did fine. They learned a lot and they participated, and a lot of the times they were the ones that were there the most times. So you don't really need experience, you just need to have the motivation to want to do what you have to do to get the project done, because ultimately it came down to who wanted the project to be done. There was a lot of late studios. A couple times we didn't get out of here till 8. So you have to be dedicated and want to see the project through.
That's the beauty of it too, is that once we get to the build aspect of it, we teach them how to use the tools that would be necessary to build this, to use them safely, and the tricks of the trade. There are many things that you can teach them rather than having them reinvent the wheel as to how you cut joists all the same size and cutting them square. We teach them how to do that so that they, and teach them that they should, measure a couple of times before they cut, so you only cut once.
One of the unique things about this design is that students were able to provide protection from the elements, the sun, the salt air, the rain, but at the same time not close you off from the elements. And I think they have done a great job in that regard.
The National Park Trust that came here and saw it last week for the first time were incredibly impressed by what they saw. It was way beyond their expectations. They were the ones who came up with the money to fund this for the materials. And we surpassed their expectations. Every one of them just loved it.
What I like about the design that the design studio came up with, School of Architecture at the University of Miami, was that this is a very unique and innovative design. And when I saw it immediately, I kind of fell in love with it because it's met all our needs. I mean, it was an elevated platform, and then it just had a great feel to it. And it was open, but yet you could put screens on it at night if you need to. And I saw some renderings of both what it would look like in the day down there with a number of them, and also at night. I think one of the things at night, if in the middle of the winter months, we don't have any mosquitoes, and it would be awfully nice to just drop those the side curtains, so to speak, and be able to be there with a family and experience the night sky at Flamingo. I think it really captured the imagination of the board of directors of the South Florida National Parks Trust, because they were actually the ones who came up with the financing. I actually visited the site with the board of directors. I think they were as pleased as I was with the outcome.
A project of this type, and indeed the design build program in general, could not have been possible without the generous support of a number of donors. Jay and Beth Lotspeech supported us with money to purchase tools, to build the project. Bill Miller supplied money to actually hire design critics like Jim Adamson to bring him to the school. Dugan Clark brought his know-how and also his factory to bear to construct the tent for the structure. Ron Gaines from Simpson Strong Tie supplied materials for the construction of the tent. And it's the support of these donors that ensures that aspiring architects are well prepared to design and build meaningful communities for years to come.
The other thing that I think is so exciting about this studio is that as a student, or even as an architect, a young architect, you typically never see a built work so young. I'm still in school and just about to graduate, and I have my first built work. It's definitely an experience that I'll take with me for many years to come, and I'm very happy and pleased to have this project in my portfolio. I believe it's a great portfolio piece, and I'm so grateful that I was able to participate in this studio and have professors like Rocco and Jem.
I couldn't have asked for a better way to end my career here, and I couldn't have asked for a better education here at the School of Architecture.